Hello and welcome to another episode of 15 Fury Focus on WANE 15 Plus. I am meteorologist Lance Huffman. Happy to have you here for today. It has certainly been a roller coaster ride over these past few days, whether it's been temperatures, winds, severe weather, winter weather. There's just been so much going on, so we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to bring in here WANE 15 meteorologist Becca Schumann. Good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on when these people are obviously watching this. So,
Hello,
Becca,
everyone.
how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing today, Lance?
I'm doing pretty good. How was your weekend?
My weekend went well. We had some severe weather on Sunday, so we were tracking that. Had a few severe weather cut-ins that I did for the first time, but luckily nothing was too bad around here. Just some strong winds and heavy rains at times. So
Yeah, I gotta remember when I did my first severe weather cut-ins. I feel like they were still when I was kind of shadowing under Cameron Leatherman, who at that point was the weekend morning meteorologist. We were watching a line of showers and storms moving through, and I think one of them, oh, sorry, this is the one. We were watching the potential of a derecho moving through because there
Oh.
was likely going to be a derecho in Iowa and Illinois,
yes,
and the eastern section of it could have made it to our area late into the night. So my shift was really shaken up at that point. I think I worked like at 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
oh
Driving home, that was I I was close to falling asleep.
yeah, that
I
would be
didn't,
rough.
and I was very careful on the road, but there were times where I was kind of like,
Dozing off,
yeah, where I was kind of like squinting a little bit, like
straining to keep your eyes open.
yeah, it's just the sudden flip of that sleep schedule. But
Yes.
we had some wind damage from that, and I don't know how much wind damage we had from that line of storms that moved through this past Friday. I'm assuming that's when you did your first cut-ins.
Sunday.
So Sunday, that's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So we were tracking multiple bouts of
Yes,
severe
there's
weather
been all
potential. I
sorts
got
of things
mixed
going
up.
on. It's hard to keep straight of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the first ones that you're like, I'm ready for this, but then you're kind of like,
Yes.
and then but practice, and then in these kind of cases, the more you do them, I think the more you get better with them because
Yeah.
I mean we've watched so many severe weather outbreaks, whether it's been on YouTube or live, and it's like we want to do this, and maybe it doesn't always go out perfectly the first time, but in my opinion, with how I started off doing severe weather cut-ins, it really only gets up from there. There's a lot of things that you kind of learn and you kind of go with. So I'm hopefully, or I'm pretty excited to see maybe some future severe weather cut-ins, not for the case of it being severe weather, Becca, but I think it's going to be pretty great from here. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. It's definitely helpful to get practice, and it's a lot of talking and doing and showing. So it's a lot of things to get used to, but it's helpful to have those experiences and then just get improved as time goes on.
Yeah, it's really the thing of filling air. It's
Yeah.
especially in a tornado warning where we have to cut in,
Yes.
but we cannot go until the warning expires. And in the case of
Yeah.
there being multiple tornado warnings, which I believe happens Sunday,
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
that kind of can get into a little bit of a pickle. So that's why typically you often, in the case of a tornado warning, it's good to always have a second meteorologist. So
Yes.
I think you and Nicholas were in on
Yes. Yeah,
Sunday
we both
night.
were there. Yeah, which was nice to have him there to help out and show me what exactly we do during severe weather.
I was trying to sleep at that point, so I didn't watch
I'm
much
sure
of
you were
it. So
sleeping.
keyword tried to sleep because I woke
Yes.
up when they moved through. But anyways, let's talk about some of the warm weather that's been really tied to some of the severe weather as well. So let's head on over to our graphic system here, and you're going to see our logo really just looking pretty nice. Enjoy our 15 Fury Focus logo here for just a second. Over the past 7 days, our high temperatures, they have been literally all over the
A
place.
roller coaster.
It is really funny to me that we managed to have, over the past 7 days, have 40s, 50s, 70s, and 20s. So no 30s or no 60s for high temperatures. That is how bonkers our high temperatures have been over these past few days, Becca.
Yeah, definitely seen some warm days, but then now we're in a little bit of a cold stretch, but we won't be in this for long, luckily. We'll see some warm weather coming up here soon, but certainly a lot of fluctuating as far as temperatures go.
Right, and on here you can pinpoint specifically two areas of where we saw severe weather over the past week. That was Tuesday night and into Wednesday, where the high temperature technically Wednesday was early in the morning. We saw temps fall throughout the day. And then Sunday, that was a high of 74 degrees. And then I believe it was pretty much late evening, into the overnight, is when we saw that cold front move through and those lines of showers and storms. And ever since then, what a temperature tumble I've seen really from Monday into Tuesday. Monday's high temperature, that's a little deceptive there because it felt pretty cold all day long. We were dealing with temperatures falling throughout the day there too. I would not be shocked if that 56-degree temperature was from it being at midnight and it just gradually those temperatures fell throughout the day. Because I think during the day, we dropped from the 30s and into the 20s very rapidly after sunrise.
Yeah.
So we've been feeling more like winter recently, which I guess is still on par for the course, so to speak, Becca.
Yes, a few more days of winter before we get into our spring season.
Astronomical spring. I
Yes.
cannot wait.
I'm also
because
very excited.
It's like, I don't know. I just feel like this winter has just felt longer and more brutal than the past ones. And I feel like it was
Yes.
because we were so cold, so bitterly cold for so long.
Very cold and just bouts of snow. I'm ready to get rid of the snow and see some nice spring weather, some flowers, all of that sort of thing.
Let's have some interesting facts for some folks out here, Becca. Our first 70-degree day. Can you tell me when that was?
For this year, it was March 6th.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's been a pretty interesting trend the past 3 years. For people who want the warm weather, this is a pretty good sign. Past 3 years, we've seen all of our 70-degree days start off in March.
Yes.
And that's pretty, I believe, earlier than average here. Let's see if we can find real quick when our average 70s are, but I believe it's really around April or May for when we usually start to see some of those high temperatures near the 70s. We've had high temperatures already that are more like late May. So we've seen temperatures get kind of close to 80 in some instances. Not quite reach it yet. We'll have to see how close we get to it eventually. But the nice warm weather's been pretty nice to see around here, Becca.
Yeah, getting a little taste of summer-like weather has been nice, certainly.
Oh, yeah. Let's wave to the sky camera over here. We call it the sky camera, but it's really on the top of the ceiling. For folks who are wondering why we often look off to the sides over here, this is actually a graphics computer, so we want to be able to see what we're talking about into our recording. So you see us kind of look over here, for example, so I'll pull you back in. I'm looking over here like this. It's because I'm looking at our graphics computer. Because as much as we want to be able to do all of this off of mine, it's a half-hour show, folks. So as much as
A little different than our normal day-to-day.
right. So as much as we can probably banter for 30 minutes, having some stats and all that stuff, we wouldn't be able to necessarily have all of that without some of these graphics to help us out with that. In this case, let's talk about our jet stream, because our jet stream has been pretty wonky recently. That's why we've been seeing a lot of these cold air clashes, these warm air clashes. We're going to see some pretty interesting changes here, because as of Thursday, we're going to still see the jet stream kind of be a little bit near us or to our south. So we'll see somewhat of a temperature rebound, especially compared to what we saw for St. Patrick's Day. We have a very interesting stat about that here in just a second.
Yeah, it was certainly a very cold day. I was outside a little bit, and I was glad that I had multiple layers on, multiple layers of socks, multiple layers of everything. It was very cold.
Right. So for the jet stream, we see this as the separator of cold air and warm air. It was well to our south yesterday. That's why we were so cold, and we even saw some lake effect snow, which we'll talk about also here in just a second. Our cold air clashes and warm air clashes, that's been a recipe for some severe weather recently. And when we see this jet stream really just actually move itself a little bit more and more to the east, as it does so, this high pressure ridge off to our west from all those oranges that you see there, that is a recipe for warmer air. That is going to be some good news for people who want us to warm back up, because especially as we get into next week, it looks like we will at least see the return of some 50s and 60s uh, as well. I think with the areas that are seeing the bulk of this high pressure in near the Four Corners, kind of Arizona, California, they might be looking at some record-breaking heat in some instances, maybe Texas too. So not seeing that much around here. But as you can see, once we get towards next week, we're kind of seeing a tight difference in terms of those warmer temperatures to the south and the colder to the north. This could be a recipe for some more chances of some rain. And that's pretty typical for March. This is a transitional period, Becca. We see a lot of both.
Yeah, certainly as we're transitioning out of that winter time and getting to the springtime where we can see some more wet patterns and warm, moist air that's filtering up when that jet stream is shifting. So we can see some transitional weather and winds and storms and all of that.
Now, do you see allergies?
Sometimes. I don't
Okay.
really see year to year, but some years it's definitely worse than others, and it's no fun.
Okay. Hopefully the allergies this year aren't too bad, because I know last year was really bad. Or with our meteorologist Nathan Gidley, he said last year it was really bad for him because he
Yes.
has allergies as well. Our former meteorologist.
Yeah.
I used to have allergies, but I got allergy shots when I was a kid, and they've helped me a lot. And I still get allergies here or there, but they used to be really bad. But I think last year, certainly a lot of people were dealing with some allergies with that. Uh, but to really encapsulate all the ups and downs of these monthly temperatures, look at all these blues and some of the grays or whites and some of the reds. We started the month below average in terms of the average temperature. So really what that means is it's combining all of the temperatures throughout the day, and then it's saying, is that more or less than the average of what is defined as a, quote, normal day? Normal in this case is a mathematical term and not necessarily a what it typically says when we say normal. Uh, for St. Patrick's Day, that was below average. And that was the first below average day since the 14th. But from the 14th from March 4th to March 13th, we saw temperatures throughout that near or above average. And especially with the record high temperatures, I feel like we've hit, I know we've hit at least 2 record high temperatures already this month.
Yes.
Both are 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say 3. Maybe we've hit. I know we've hit 2.
Yeah, I'm confident about the 2. I don't know about the third one.
Okay. Frankly, that's why I would not be shocked if we hit another one this month.
Yeah,
Why not?
we still have the time to.
Yeah. Well, why not? Sorry for the mic bump. Here, I'm a person who loves this warm weather in March because this means golf courses open earlier.
Oh, yes.
So I'm really hoping they get open soon. My favorite course, especially. Let's then start talking about the St. Patrick's Day history, and then we're going to go over our weather term of the day. Becca, us being from college not too long ago, we know this term pretty well. But our St. Patrick's Day fact here, folks, it is certainly, it is what we'll call one of the facts of all time. You can say maybe it's a good fact if you love cold, a bad fact if you like warmth. Our Fort Wayne high temperature for 2026 for St. Patrick's Day, bad luck of the Irish, 25 degrees. And Becca, when was the last time we've seen St. Patrick's Day in the 20s?
The last time we saw that was in 1976 when it was 29 degrees. So it's been a very long time since we've seen that cold of a holiday.
Oh man, I'm just trying to think about that. It just has me kind of. I guess I'm not shocked that we've definitely had these kind of days in the 20s before, but for it being actually 40 years
Yeah.
40 years ago, that's pretty wild. And then 49 years ago was the last time we've had 25 degrees or less on St. Patrick's Day, excuse me. And that's a pretty interesting note, I would say.
Yes, yeah, it was only 22 that year. Very cold.
And you can see just how below average this is for our St. Patrick's Day weather. 48 degrees is the average high temperature. Again, folks, this is when we start to see really maybe a gradual movement towards some semblance of some consistently warmer air. Not so much recently. And again, this is why we stress this is a transitional month, because although we start to see more of that nudge towards some warmer air around here, it does not mean we don't sometimes see these colder or Arctic high pressures move into the area, get us much colder. Our record low temperature is -4, and that was in
Oh,
1900. Well,
hopefully we
I
don't see anything
can't.
like that anytime soon.
Yeah, thankfully, we've hit some of those low
Yes,
temperatures
this
earlier
past
this
winter season.
Yes. Uh, and our record high is 76 degrees set back in 2012. I mean, we could have used the 70s. We already had them so
Certainly,
much. Like,
yeah.
why not have more at this
Why not
point?
just let that 170-degree day fall on St. Patrick's Day? But
Right. And it was a little windy at times, or a little breezy at times for St. Patrick's
yes,
Day. But it was finally not as windy as what Friday was. Saturday, we
yes.
had a break. Sunday, it was super windy again. Monday, it was still windy, and not as bad, but it was still pretty windy. Uh, it's been quite a wild ride around here, Becca, in terms of the winds.
Yeah, we've had some very strong wind gusts, which has led to damage all over, trees falling, trampolines getting blown into the streets, and it's been a very windy past week.
And when people say, or at least when I say I'm a Star Wars fan, and they can't necessarily apply it to their work job, I might disagree in this case for me because the thing that's been driving a lot of our winds recently has been something called the pressure gradient force. And I can say it, we're using the force, or
Oh,
Mother
yes,
Nature
I
is
see where
using
you're
the
going
force. But this is an actual phenomenon in the weather world. This is really one of the main drivers of a winds at this time of year. When we get towards summer, maybe not so much, and that's more of what we call mixing in the atmosphere, where a lot of winds get brought down to the surface, some sunshine, and just dependent on what some of those things are. Uh, but Becca, this is a noun. If I'm
Hmm.
correct, I haven't taken language arts class in a while, so
Believe it's a noun, yes.
I'm just I like to clarify. I'm pretty sure it's a noun, but in case if for some reason it wasn't, uh, but it is an actual force. There are some forces in the meteorology world that we actually say is like it's a pseudo force. This one's an actual force. This is something that actually we can, I guess, say like proves like something that is actually something that is driven in the atmosphere. Uh, and when we say pressure gradient force, it sounds super complicated, but it really
Yeah.
isn't, right?
Yes, yeah, it's really just these pressure gradients that are so high pressure, an area of strong high pressure, and then an area of high low pressure, and these air masses are just clashing, which creates windy conditions as these different forces are trying to kind of battle it out to regain strength in each of their own areas.
And now I can make another Star Wars reference because Mother Nature likes to balance, just like how the
Oh,
Force needs to
yes.
balance. And in doing so, balancing out the Force means that there's going to be some bumpy rides if there's a strong high pressure and strong low pressure. So let's bring in an example here. As I'm looking around, we have a graphic called What Causes Wind. And I actually used this not that long ago to describe pressure gradient wind. And I'm going to make the screen full for you to see this graphic because there's a decent amount of text on here. Becca, you and I might take some turns kind of talking about some of the words on this graphic, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Uh, and for folks who kind of have this Coca-Cola versus Pepsi or soda versus pop here, I try to avoid using those just so I could get this across the board because I know that there are some fans of Pepsi who don't like Coca-Cola, who are fans of Coca-Cola, and vice versa. You get that. Becca, do you say soda or pop?
I say pop.
Okay.
Yes. What do you say?
Hmm. I think I say pop,
Yeah.
but I haven't said it in so long that I'll just say I said pop because I just said pop and I just said pop
Okay,
again. Pop,
perfect.
pop, pop, pop.
Glad we're in agreement.
So let's talk about what causes wind. Air pressure is always trying to reach a state of balance, or this is what we call equilibrium. And we just kind of talked about that. We need things to kind of balance out in the atmosphere because it's trying to reach, I believe, what we call kind of a near hydrostatic balance. In this case, you don't have to worry about the term hydrostatic here. It's just worry about the term balance. Becca, if you want to get that text box that just showed up.
Yes, so wind is formed in an attempt to restore the balance from the difference in the pressures. So in this case, It's between the inside and the outside of the pop can.
Yeah, I mean, you also saw a little bit of the anemone, the animation of that pop can opening. Whenever someone opens that pop can, I think that's why they call it pop, because it makes that popping
It's
noise when you
true.
open the can.
Yes.
This is because the pressure inside of the can is higher compared to the atmosphere around it. And in doing so, what happens is you have all of that air that's inside the can, whether it's in the soda, meaning it explodes, or it's just on the top layer. It means that the air is rushing outside to balance itself out from the atmosphere around it. And sometimes when you shake up the can, you're increasing the pressure because you're increasing the atomic activity in there, which means the atoms, like the liquid in there, is splashing around more, which means you're adding more pressure. And that's why it actually explodes. But when you add more pressure, it means it has to bring more force or more wind to balance that out. And that's pretty much what we have in that second part here. Once that pressure is equalized, the wind stops. So that's why the pop can, when you pop it, doesn't last for too long. In this case, for that. Becca, if you want to wrap this up with the last part there.
Yeah, so the greater the difference in the pressure, the stronger the wind. So when you have those strong differences, in this case, the inside of the can versus the outside, then you get that stronger wind that results in trying to balance out these forces.
Yes, that's awesome. So let's apply this to pretty much a weather map. So we have, as you can see, a low pressure kind of near pretty much us in the Midwest, Great Lakes region, a high pressure out west into, let's see, we can call that the Utah area, kind of the Utah area. I remember we're called the Great Lake, or the Great Salt Lake region. What's called the Great Salt Lake region, or just kind of that area there. Whenever you have a weak high pressure, think of that as maybe the soda can. That's weak soda can, or a soda can that maybe is flat, that maybe the soda expired in there. You open the can, it doesn't have to change much in terms of pressure. So the winds, as they go from high pressure to low pressure, as they often do, they're not going to be too fast at all. But if you have a fresh soda can that you just got from the grocery store, I said soda. Okay.
There it is.
Oh boy. You shake up the can, and maybe you don't change the pressure outside, or you drop the pressure outside, you're going to have stronger winds because you're changing that pressure so much to go from one side to the other, because it's trying to, again, balance itself out in this case. Now, I looked at this graphic, and I found this very, very interesting,
Oh,
Becca.
yes, this
'cause
is interesting.
some of these items, folks, as you remember, Friday and Sunday, we were seeing quite a few of these blow around. Not so much people or cars, but high-profile vehicles.
Yeah, semis were getting blown over.
Yeah, so when we could look at 3 miles per hour here, that's obviously pretty easy. We can hit that almost every day in terms of wind. Because that can blow around a maple leaf pretty easily. But when we get towards a 96-gallon trash can there, so I would assume your average trash can that you might have at the side of the road ready for the dump truck for the day. Gusts up to around 20 miles per hour can easily knock those things over. Now, I'm curious to know if this is including anything in there or
It's
not
true.
including anything in there.
I guess it would have to be a hollow one, but
Right. So you put more in there, it'd take more, but with that surface area, it could still take maybe around 40 miles per hour to really blow that over.
yeah.
Now, I will say, on Friday, we got close to even surpassing the ability to knock down the average person on Friday, because Fort Wayne recorded a wind gust of 70 miles per hour here as well. So let's actually show off that graphic, because I wanted to show off some of the wind totals, or not wind totals, but wind gust reports that we've had, Becca.
Yes.
And I will move this up here so we can actually get a good view of this. 77 miles per hour was the reported wind gust at Middle Point, Ohio, which is pretty crazy to think about. 77 miles per hour, 70 in Fort Wayne, 70 in Ossian. So that's a little south of Fort Wayne for some folks who kind of need some reference. They actually just need to take Bluffton Road south. Of course, avoid the construction. and that takes you literally straight into Ossian and even into Bluffton, hence why it's called Bluffton Road. Van Wert 59 and Huntington 59 miles per hour. And consider the fact that for severe thunderstorm warnings, we need gusts up to 58 miles per hour. We easily got those for so many of us on Friday, Becca.
Yeah, and this wasn't even in a severe thunderstorm. It was just non-thunderstorm wind gusts as we had these high pressure gradient winds.
Exactly. And Sunday, it was still pretty significant. It wasn't as much, but it was certainly enough to be, I'd say, enough of an issue.
Yeah.
To where it still caused some downed power lines, some downed trees. There were thousands of people that were without power, whether it was Friday or whether it was Sunday. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all of us, have power back at this point. This is being recorded on Wednesday, March 18th, really talking about all of this in this case. And we also have some new information in terms of the severe weather that moved through Tuesday night and through Wednesday and into Wednesday morning. 2 tornadoes actually got confirmed from the National Weather Service after they did some surveys. And this took a little bit longer than what it usually does because in this case, as if you listened to 15 Fury Focus last week, I was talking about the Stark County, the Knox tornado, and the tornado emergency there. That fell into the National Weather Service in northern Indiana's area, and they ended up surveying that first, and then they went down to investigate some of the damage that was caused by possible tornadoes in Wells and Jay counties. Those got confirmed after actually that episode was recorded. So both EF0 tornadoes were confirmed near Veracruz, which is, I believe, southeast or at least far eastern Wells County, and then one in Powers in Jay County, Becca. So it's the case where even if there's not a high chance for a tornado, even if it's the second chance for severe weather, that doesn't mean it's never possible.
Yeah, this was later than maybe we originally thought because we were looking at that evening portion, but during the morning there was still a severe threat, and we did see those confirmed tornadoes. Now, they were EF0, so not as strong, but still we did see those surveys, and then they ended up being confirmed. So still can see that severe weather even when that heightened timing has passed.
Right, and I'm actually pulling it up right now, and we'll take a look at some of these tornadoes that they ended up confirming on the National Weather Service website just real quick here, and then we are going to call it for this episode of 15 Fury Focus. So again, glad to have you folks here. Let us zoom in and kind of break down the map that they actually gave us here. And you can see there's going to be 2 lines of tornadoes that pop up. One that's kind of near Muncie, but that actually falls in Jay County. You can see the outline of Jay County right there. And in this case, our chances of so whether again they were relatively low, but they were enough to where we saw a few weak tornadoes pop up in some areas. So this was near Powers. That little community that you see, Powers right there, was just to the northwest of that EF0 tornado. And this brought in, you can see, estimated peak winds of 80 miles per hour. So not much, but it's still enough when you consider a tornado, 80 miles per hour. That's all you need to at least cause a little bit of some damage. And you can see this EF0 tornado also in the vicinity of Veracruz, also with 80-mile-an-hour winds. And pretty commonly with these types of tornadoes, you can often see them be pretty brief, and they're not too long track. So that's I suppose the good thing about lines of storms like this. They don't track for too long, but they can still cause damage.
Yes, even an EF0 can cause some damage, especially in those rural areas with there's crops and different barns and things like that. Can see some damage with those weaker tornadoes for sure.
Right, and that's why it's so important to make sure you stay aware of surroundings for severe weather, especially with it being severe weather preparedness last week in Indiana, and it is severe weather preparedness week, the week of, I guess this is technically March
16th through the
15th?
16th.
16th, okay. So yeah, week of March 16th, it is actually that for Ohio. So folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of 15 Fury Focus on WANE 15 Plus. Have a great one.